Well, good morning. It's April the 21st, 2025, and straight from the highly caffeinated studio, this is According to Willie B, and I, Will Bryce, am your host for the next half hour. Now, you're asking, okay, we've been a lot of places lately. Where in the world could we possibly go this week? I'm going to drag you along on a trip down to Beaufort, North Carolina. Now, if you don't know where Beaufort, North Carolina is, let me just tell you, it is down on the water. That's right, on the big old ocean. And there is a lot to see and do down there, and a lot to eat as well. And we're going to dive off into all that very shortly. I do have very two quick announcements, I promise. One is on merch, which I know most of you have been emailing me about. That's pretty much where the consensus of my email has gathered here lately, is on where's the merch. We got the equipment in, and we are almost ready to go. We are waiting on our transfers and stuff to come in, and once that gets here, we're going to get cranked up and put them on the website, as well as on all of our social media. But I will say that you're going to be excited, because now there will not only be merch for According to Willie B, there will be merch for Culinary Highway. If you haven't checked that out, you need to. And now, in the very near future, there is going to be merch for Caffeinate and Conquer Coffee. That's right. We're going to revive two of our coffee blends under the name of Caffeinate and Conquer. And along with that, the best news, some of you may remember him, we're going to drag him out of retirement, and that is Dr. Caffeine. That's right. If you don't know who Dr. Caffeine is, don't worry, you soon will, because let me tell you, he takes over all of our social media. He is very popular, but hey, we can't let him take on all the spotlight. But anyway, so that'll all be coming up very soon. So stay tuned. Over the next couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing some things, I promise. All right, strap on your bikini or strap on your mankini or whatever it is you wear down to the beach, and let's go check out Beaufort, North Carolina. Now, Beaufort in itself has a lot of things to offer, more especially if you're an outdoor enthusiast. If you like to fish, if you like to get the sand in between your toes, and you like shopping on the coastal areas, and you like dining on coastal foods such as seafood, shrimp, scallops, crabs, you name it, the list goes on. A big thing here in North Carolina is flounder, and so me being from Texas, most of the fish that we got would be catfish, but here it's flounder. So I've adjusted to that pretty well. I got to say, there's been some food struggles that I've had, but switching over to the flounder has not been a really bad thing. I've kind of grown to love it. It's growing on me. Let's just say that. But the barbecue, no, not so much. We're not going to go down that road. But, Beaufort, North Carolina does have so much to offer. And if you have access to a boat, or if you have the means to maybe rent a boat or rent a charter or something of that nature, there's even more that area offers. For example, there is an island called Shackleford Banks, and a lot of people here know it as Mustang Island, or that's the one thing I've noticed down, especially down in that area, coastal area, is they all the locals have multiple names for, it could be one thing. And so for an outsider, it kind of confuses me sometimes, but I catch on sooner or later. But the Mustang Island is exactly what you think it is. No, if you're a car enthusiast, no, it's not a Ford Mustang. It's a horse. So if you're a horse enthusiast, then this is for you. There is a big herd of feral wild Mustangs that live on this island. And They are absolutely majestic to watch. When you think of watching a wild horse, that's something that we don't see very often. It's almost the same analogy, if you will, if you were going to think of a tame bear. You don't see an average household with, a grizzly bear as a family pet. There's reasons for that. But so that would be the most awkward thing to see. And the same thing goes if we're used to seeing horses that are tame, and yet these are wild. And you could actually, you can laugh at me if you want to, but when you look at those horses and you look at them close enough, it's almost like you can see the wildness in their eyes. I mean, there's just a fire in their mind that they know they're free. Um, and it's just really a sight to behold. There's also the Cape Lookout lighthouse, which is really cool. So you can actually take a ferry, and there's only one. So listen up close when I tell you, it is the Island Express ferry. Is the only one authorized to take you to Shackleford Banks Island over there to see the lighthouse or the horses or to camp or what have you. You can look it up on TripAdvisor or Google or whatever, and there's a ton of information surrounding it. But so unless you have somebody that has a boat to take you out there, because I think it's about a good 30-minute boat ride from, say, Beaufort out to where this island is. There's also an island out there now the locals call it the Hook, HOOK. Now, if you think of Texas and you think of New Braunfels, when there are parties that gather on the river, this picture that same thing on a little deserted private island about 30 minutes from Beaufort, and people with boats, they all gather out there and they anchor right offshore, and they can walk up and down, collect seashells on that little island. And it's white sand. It's absolutely beautiful. If you've never been to Beaufort, I'm telling you, it is worth the trip. It was amazing to me. Of all the beaches and different islands that I've been to in my life, I have to say, for that to be in the United States was beyond impressive to me. To see these little islands out there and this clear water and the white sand, and you basically have it all to yourself. I mean, maybe there's other boats and stuff there, but it's not like this big public beach. Sometimes we go to a public beach and it's absolutely packed and you're, elbow to elbow. And this was not that way. And then you could see the Shackleford Island over there with the horses running around. It was just, I'm telling you, this is something that I urge you to go check out. If you are in any way an outdoor enthusiast around the water, fishing, just like to be outdoors in general, this is a place to go. I am absolutely telling you, you will not be disappointed. There's a lot of other things in and around Beaufort to do. There's an aquarium. I believe it's on what they call the Pine Knoll, and it's the North Carolina Aquarium, and to be, I guess in my mind, what seemed like not really in the middle of nowhere, but normally an aquarium's like in a big tourist town or something like that. But this was not. It was just kind of, you drove down this road and you kept driving. And you're like, oh, here's an aquarium. Cool. And it was a really fancy, nice aquarium. Very well laid out, very well, diverse, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It has so many different exhibits and kind of different than what you normally see in a lot of aquarium. Because I've been to a lot of aquariums in Florida and, stuff like that. But this North Carolina aquarium down there in Beaufort was really diverse. And I thought it was really cool. There's a maritime museum. So this is in my defense, because I told y'all I would start going to museums. They are actually closed. I have been there once before. It's been a while back, but it is the Maritime North Carolina Maritime Museum, and they've got some really cool local exhibits in there. And but they are actually closed for renovations, and they don't really have a date set yet to open this year in 2025. But I understand from the locals that they are getting close to releasing a date. So we'll keep an eye on that. And if I hear something, I'll circle back and let you guys know. Or you can email me, however you want to do that. But it was absolutely a really cool museum. So, you got also have the Fort Macon. Um, it's like I guess, it's a state park, but it, for me, it didn't really feel like a state park. They've it's an old naval type setting, if you will, and it just doesn't feel like your typical state park. It's really, you could spend a lot of time during the day just exploring and walking around. The grounds are absolutely beautiful, but it's definitely worth checking out. So Fort Macon State Park. So don't miss that one. So if you want something to eat, I'm going to tell you about a place that is actually overlooks the water, and the food is absolutely phenomenal. Service is on point, beyond belief. I will tell you, from my standpoint only, um, their menu. Now, my favorite thing that they have, because I get kind of picky when it comes to some seafoods, especially when I get into like a coastal area. Because I don't like oysters, and I don't. There's a lot of things I don't like. But if you look at me, you can tell that I'm built for comfort food. There are a lot of things that I do like, but I don't like shrimp and grits. I like shrimp. I just don't put the grits in there. So, but they do have a beer battered flounder. Now, there's more to that than meets the eye, because they've got a house made tartar sauce that when you combine it with that flounder, oh wow, man, it is off the charts good. Um, they've got some really diverse dishes, because they're not white tablecloth per se, but they are an upper kind of an upper class restaurant. I would say they're just under being a white tablecloth, if that makes sense. Just trying to give you an idea of, do you need to get out one wallet or two? and one wallet will do it. They're not, I felt like they were in line with everybody else as far as pricing went, but they're a really nice place, overlooks the water, and they have some of those offshore fishing tournaments in that area. And so if you catch them during one of those offshore fishing tournaments, you can actually stand out on the balcony and look right over where they are weighing in most of the time. That was really cool. But it is really good food. Moonrakers, you will not be sorry on that one. That one is really good food. And they've got a couple desserts that are off the chain as well. There's one other place if you want something for like a lunch or a light dinner, there is the Finn's Grill, Finz Grill. Now, let me tell you about an item that they have that is absolutely one of my favorites. And I've only had them once, and I've never forgotten them. And they are crab fritter sliders. Now, you probably had sliders, the little burgers, and you've had crab fritters, but put those two together, and you've got these little spicy crab cakes on these little petite rolls. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes when you get creativity like that, it just blows your mind, and they were absolutely phenomenal. They also have, things like catch of the day, your typical seafood platters, stuff like that. But, they got an oyster burger, they got a shrimp burger, they got a flounder burger. I mean, if it comes out of the ocean, they'll put it between two slices of bread or a bun for you, that's for sure. So for Beaufort, the two restaurants you definitely have to check out is you could do Finn's Grill for lunch and then go do Moonrakers for dinner. And I promise you, you will not regret it. You will say, I promise you, you'll send me an email going, "Thank you, Will. I really appreciate you telling me where to go there because," and there could be in the very near future an episode of Culinary Highway on not only one of those, but both of those. I'm hoping to reach out to them before summer's end and see if I can set something up because both of those restaurants truly deserve to be highlighted. And they are both mom and pops. So there's that. So I've told you about the Hook. I've told you about Shackelford Islands. There's a couple different ferries down there that you can take and be dropped off on the islands and stuff and check stuff out. So there's all kinds of ways to enjoy yourself down there. But Beaufort really just was an awesome experience for me. There's also on Saturdays, I believe it's mostly like spring through fall. On Saturdays, they have a farmer's market. You'll have to check their website or on Google to check their schedule because I know sometimes with those farmers markets like that, they do kind of fluctuate on days and times and stuff like that. But definitely worth checking out. So I will say, while you're in Beaufort, you're going to want a souvenir. Now, Beaufort is located, it's a little coastal town. It butts up right up to the water. And there is this little coastal shopping area, if you will, right on the water. And there is a store that I'm about to tell you about. And if you go to Beaufort and you don't go to this store, you're going to be sorry. And it's simply the Beaufort General Store. I don't care what you're looking for, these people have it. And it is so cool. Now, I've seen general stores like, in Jefferson and Fredericksburg, Virginia, and et cetera. There's usually all these small towns have like an old school general store and has all kind of souvenirs that you could ever hope for. But think about one of these general stores on a coastal town. I mean, they've got all kind of candy. They've got fresh fudge. They've got ice cream. They've got all your T-shirts and hats and all this kind of stuff. But it's so much more than that. If you like decorating like in a nautical theme, then that's the store to go to because they have so much stuff in there. It's just unreal. Now, there's some other stores right there connected with them in that shopping area that, have some cool merchandise as well. But the general store I thought was absolutely off the chain. That place just blew my mind. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was in there for a while. But you definitely have to check out the general store in Beaufort. There's also a town right across the way, and it's called Morehead City. And there's a restaurant over there that I want to tell you about. So if you have more than one day and you're looking for something to eat, now you're looking for something high end, okay? This is called the Southern Salt Seafood Company and Waterfront Restaurant. I'm going to tell you about an item that they have in there, and you have to try it. And if you like crab dip, if you're not allergic to shellfish or whatever, they have a house-made crab dip. But there's more. They give you this little miniature loaf of like French bread almost, but it's seasoned, and you take that bread with that crab dip, holy cow, that stuff is unbelievable. It's just wow. Your tongue will lick your eyebrows. I promise you, that stuff is that good. That restaurant is also a locally owned by a local chef, so it's also locally owned. I'm going to tell you about one more restaurant, and then I'm going to start wrapping this up. But I want to tell you about a place that we went to on the final night, and this was unexpected. I did not expect. I did not expect this food at all. I totally read the place wrong. When we drove up, it's like a campground right on the water. And it's not your typical campground. It's like little modular buildings, if you will. And then at the back of this there's this restaurant, and they just added on to it. The place is actually way bigger than I thought it would be. But it is called Wild. Now, trust me, they did not rename this place because of me. I'm just saying. But the place is called Wild Will's Revenge. Now, I assure you, I had nothing to do with that. They did not know me before I went there last night. But they have one of the things that has been really hard for me transitioning to North Carolina food is the way they bread shrimp. Now, I grew up with shrimp breaded in cornmeal, or, we had our seafood restaurant. We breaded them in tempura flour and then panko breadcrumbs. But my personal favorite that I grew up with when my mom cooked shrimp at home, because we grew up on the coast, so we ate shrimp like most people eat hamburger because shrimp was cheap growing up because we were right there on the coast. But was in just seasoned cornmeal, and it was usually Tony Chachere's and cornmeal, etc. But I here in North Carolina, they bread shrimp in flour. That just doesn't do it for me. I can't wrap my head around that. It's like turkey bacon. It's like, no, it doesn't exist. You can't do that. That's against food laws somewhere. But this place, this Wild Will's Revenge, breaded their shrimp in flour, which I expected, but I went ahead and ordered the fried shrimp anyway. But the flour that they used actually had some seasoning in it, and the shrimp were really fresh. I mean, I grew up on the coast, so when I bite into shrimp that's fresh, I know it immediately in that first bite. And the breading had some flavor to it, had some seasoning. I was like, wow, these were really good. They weren't greasy. I was blown away. I was like, man, these shrimp are really good. And then, of course, they have their house-made cocktail and tartar sauce. And they were kind of, in a way, especially the tartar sauce for sure, was a little bit of their own twist on it. And I got to say, it was absolutely phenomenal. I tried both. And we also, at the same table, our party had their prime rib, was just one of their specialties. We had a couple in our party that ordered the stuffed shrimp that they do in-house. This is not some pre-made stuffed shrimp that's done. No, it's all done in-house, and which is my favorite kind of restaurant. And then they had, do not miss out on this. They've got a pineapple cake and they have a chocolate cake. Not your typical cakes. You got to try them out. Make sure you save room for dessert. But there was I would have to say they kind of wowed me. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. For some reason, and I normally don't misread a restaurant. But I misread this one, and my apologies. Because when we left, I was just blown away. But they were absolutely phenomenal. I would definitely recommend checking out Wild Will's Revenge, and it's in Atlantic. Is the name of the town, Atlantic, North Carolina. And but yeah, you definitely got to check that out. That looks like pretty much all the time we got this week. But I could go on and on about the Beaufort area, and there's probably going to be some more towns that we're going to explore in that coastal area this summer. So there'll be some more podcasts coming on that particular area because there is so much to see and do. And I promise I will go back when they get the Maritime Museum open. I will go back and check it out and let you know how their renovations came along. I'm sure it's going to be even better than it was before. But until next week, I hope you have a great week. I appreciate each of you listening as we are now listened. We have regular listeners now in 7 countries. I'm absolutely blown away. Um, I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to caffeinate and conquer. And until next week, y'all have a great day. Bye bye.